called that metastasis spread from the primary site to the regional lymph nodes to distant sites. And the therapies devised since then failed to produce failed and produce in the patients significant physical and psychological morbidity. It is now well accepted that subclinical metastases are often established by the time diagnosis is made, and evidence is pervasive that systemic adjuvant therapy alters the natural history of breast DA and improves survival of certain patients on sex. Within the past decades, two groups have received the widest attention, although they're not just two groups which have studied more than 75,000 females with breast cancer. These two groups, mainly the National Cancer Institute in Milan, the National Surgical Adjuvant Breast Program in the United States, have started the ball rolling in the investigation of how adjuvant chemotherapy can benefit certain subsets of patients. Now, those data from all these studies mentioned, whether from Milan, from the US, from Scandinavia, have proven that there is a cure, that adjuvant chemotherapy is curative. However, the benefits of adjuvant chemotherapy have been evaluated in terms of how many relapses and deaths may be avoided. Even without curing a patient, life may be prolonged to a worthwhile degree. The average additional years gained, according to a study by Henderson and Jama, is an average of 6+ years, with a range from 2 years to up to more than 10 years. More than 10 years constituting a probability of a cure. The factors accounting for the variable prolongation of survival is the tumor response to the cytotoxic agent. It is reasonable to assume that micrometastases respond to chemotherapy in the same general way as clinically apparent metastases. Response are usually partial or incomplete and affected by, number 1, tumor burden, number 2, intrinsic or acquired drug resistance, and number 3, growth kinetics, with the end result of that most patients respond to adjuvant chemotherapy with partial reduction in tumor burden, just as for those with overt metastasis. Now, this may be translated into measurable clinical benefits in some patients, whereas in others, the effects may be too small to be measured as of the moment. More recently, attempts have been made to assess the physical, emotional, and social consequences of treatment as new methods to evaluate the quality of life. If curative treatments were available, the question of impact of treatment on quality of life would not assume this much importance. However, there are instruments for measuring this quality of life which may show to us the possible benefits or the benefits evident in the use of adjuvant chemotherapy. The international group devised an instrument called the TWIST, TWIST, or the time without symptoms with disease or toxicity. And this was applied to more than 4,000 patients, randomized to no versus adjuvant arm. Now, it was shown that in the first 2 years, the arm without treatment showed a higher quality of life index. However, by 5 to 6 years, the arm of adjuvant chemotherapy was superior to that without chemotherapy, in that there were fewer relapses occurred. Now, as to toxicity and the development of secondary malignancies, there is still very limited information as to this. The only information we have available is that acute myeloid leukemia appeared in 0.5% of patients treated with LPAM. This was reported by Fisher in 1988. However, in the CMF regimen, there is no evidence after 10 years of follow-up, reported by Balagessa and Henderson and Gelman. Now, overall effects of adjuvant chemotherapy are modest, and the way is pointed to us to increase the effectiveness of treatment through a number of ways. how we can escalate and intensify the dose, which is now possible now that there are numerous ways to protect the bone marrow with hematopoietic growth factors and peripheral blood stem cells or autologous bone marrow rescue. We can start with neoadjuvant chemotherapy. And we can use alternating non-cross-resistant agents as supported by Sherlock in the use of adriamycin and halotestin after CNF-BP. Or we can alter growth kinetics to enhance susceptibility to chemotherapy. And also we can use inhibitory factors or monoclonal antibodies to growth factor receptors to suppress tumor growth. With these strategies, the modest effects, the modest benefits shown by present use of chemotherapy may increase its effectiveness. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chico. Before we go any further, let me remind the team members that the second round of discussion is rebuttal. So, Dr. Louis Adna.
Survival after SDA. This is overall survival improved only from 53.9 to 58.3%. With this improvement, so-called improvement in the survival rate, definitely a modest improvement. Should we say that this survival, this is apparent survival, is it significant for this patient? And is it well worth it for this patient to undergo such treatment, knowing the cost and knowing the cytotoxic effects of this agent? The basic problem in these studies which say that there is an improvement is in making generalized statements. It is apparent that in these cases the population groups are not similar. Basically, we are considering a diverse group of breastfeeding patients, and there is a problem of dealing with patients of a basically similar population. In this, as such, the validity of this study has to be questioned. So we come to the study wherein the NASDP tried to start out with populations which are similar initially. And as has been reviewed, these patients had only a so-called improvement in survival only in the first trial. Subsequent 4 trials were not able to show the same type of improvement. In the so-called first trial, it has been found that only a small sample size was used. So, using 31 versus 32 patients, it would be difficult to accept such a study to make a generalization that adjuvant chemotherapy is beneficial, knowing that we only have a small sample size. Also, only in this group do we have an untreated group which we can consider so as to really compare if there is any benefit with adjuvant chemotherapy. Furthermore, as has been mentioned, most of the Filipino patients are below the poverty line. In our institution where our drugs are supposed to be of lower prices, the patient usually has to shell out around 1,000 pesos per month for 6 months. So that would be around, she would spend around 5,000 to 6,000 pesos. Most patients will not be able to shell out that kind of money for their chemotherapy. So, considering
proceed to the second